The storm was so violent that night that even the strongest trees outside Marcus Vale's small house looked like they were fighting to stay standing. Rain crashed against the windows, the power kept flickering, and inside the quiet home, a single father sat at a worn kitchen table counting the last few dollars he had left. He had enough money for groceries for only a few days, his car needed repairs, and his 8-year-old daughter, Arya, needed new school shoes. Life had not been easy since Marcus lost his wife 3 years earlier, but he had learned to survive by making sacrifices and holding on to hope. He never expected that opening his front door to a stranger during the worst night of his life would eventually change everything. Before we continue this emotional story, if you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances still matter, please like this video, comment, share it with someone special, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories about humanity and unexpected blessings. Marcus was not a wealthy man. He worked long hours repairing old machines at a local workshop, and every paycheck disappeared quickly into bills, food, and taking care of his daughter. After his wife passed away, he promised himself that Arya would never feel the emptiness he felt. He cooked her meals, helped with homework, attended school events, and always found a way to make her smile even when he was exhausted. That night, Marcus was preparing Arya for bed when he heard a desperate knock at the door. At first, he hesitated. The neighborhood was usually quiet, and with everything going wrong in his own life, he wondered if he should simply ignore it. But when he looked through the window, he saw a woman standing outside in the rain, completely soaked, holding a damaged bag and looking frightened. Marcus opened the door and asked if she was okay. The woman explained that her car had broken down several miles away, her phone had died, and she had been walking through the storm trying to find help. She looked exhausted and embarrassed, as if she expected to be turned away. Marcus looked around his small home. There was only one spare couch in the living room. He knew giving a stranger a place to stay was risky, especially with his daughter sleeping in the next room, but something inside him told him that this woman needed help more than he needed comfort. Without hesitation, Marcus offered her the couch for the night. The woman introduced herself as Clara Whitmore. She thanked him repeatedly and promised she would leave early in the morning. Marcus told her not to worry and gave her a blanket, a towel, and the last warm meal he had prepared. He even gave her his own jacket because she was still shaking from the cold. The next morning, Clara was gone before Marcus woke up. The only sign that she had ever been there was a small note on the table thanking him for showing kindness when she had nowhere else to go. Marcus smiled, placed the note in a drawer, and returned to his normal routine. He never expected anything in return. 3 weeks passed. Marcus almost forgot about the strange night until a black luxury car stopped outside his small house. He watched from the window as a man in an expensive suit stepped out carrying a leather briefcase. Marcus immediately felt nervous. He wondered if he had somehow made a mistake by helping a stranger. The man walked to the door and knocked. When Marcus opened it, the stranger introduced himself as Adrian Cross, an attorney representing Clara Whitmore. Marcus immediately recognized the name but did not understand why a CEO's lawyer would be standing outside his home. Adrian explained that Clara was not just an ordinary traveler. She was the founder and CEO of a major technology company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. On the night of the storm, she had been traveling alone because she wanted a break from the constant pressure of running her company. When her car broke down, she experienced something she rarely saw in her world: genuine kindness without someone asking for something in return. Adrian told Marcus that Clara had spent weeks searching for a way to thank him. She had learned about his struggles, his dedication to his daughter, and the sacrifices he had made after losing his wife. Marcus listened quietly. He still could not understand why helping someone for one night had become such a big deal. Then Adrian handed him a folder. Inside was an offer from Clara's company. She wanted Marcus to become the manager of a new community project focused on helping struggling single parents. The position came with a stable salary, health benefits, and support for his daughter's education. Marcus felt tears filling his eyes. For years, he had worked hard while wondering if anyone noticed. He had never wanted wealth or fame. He only wanted a chance to provide a better life for Arya. When Arya came home from school and saw her father crying, she hugged him and asked what happened. Marcus held her tightly and told her that sometimes the kindness we give when nobody is watching finds its way back to us when we need it most. Months later, Marcus was leading a program that helped hundreds of families. He never forgot the night he gave a stranger his couch, because that simple act of compassion opened a door he never knew existed. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your engagement helps us continue sharing stories that remind us kindness can change lives. Special request. Comment, kindness always comes back, if you believe one small good deed can create a big difference. Marcus eventually learned the greatest reward was not the job, the money, or the opportunities that came afterward. The greatest reward was knowing that even during his hardest days, he had chosen to be a good person. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness given in a moment of darkness becomes the light that guides someone's entire future. The days after Adrian Cross arrived at Marcus Vale's door felt almost unreal. For a man who had spent years struggling just to keep his small home running, everything suddenly seemed to be moving too quickly. Marcus had always believed that good things happened to other people, not to someone like him. He was used to working hard without recognition, solving problems quietly, and putting everyone else's needs before his own. But now, for the first time in years, someone had noticed the kind of person he truly was. However, Marcus quickly realized that accepting help was much harder than giving it. He had spent his entire life being the person who helped others. Asking for support made him uncomfortable. He worried that people would think he accepted the opportunity only because of what he could gain. But Clara Whitmore's message was clear. She did not choose him because she felt sorry for him. She chose him because she believed his kindness and honesty were exactly what her company needed. When Marcus arrived at Clara's headquarters for the first time, he felt completely out of place. The building was enormous, filled with hundreds of employees rushing through the halls. Everyone wore expensive suits, carried advanced technology, and spoke about million-dollar projects. Marcus looked at his old jacket and simple shoes and wondered if he had made a mistake. But then he remembered the night he opened his door to Clara when he had almost nothing. He remembered that kindness did not require money, status, or a perfect appearance. It only required a good heart. Clara personally welcomed him and introduced him to the team. She explained that Marcus would lead a new foundation created to support single parents who were struggling financially. The program would provide job opportunities, childcare assistance, and emergency support for families going through difficult times. At first, some employees questioned the decision. They wondered why someone without a corporate background was given such an important responsibility. But Clara knew something they did not. She knew Marcus understood struggle, sacrifice, and responsibility in a way no business degree could teach. Marcus began visiting families who needed help. He listened to their stories, sat with parents who felt hopeless, and reminded them that difficult circumstances did not define their future. He did not speak to them like a businessman. He spoke to them like someone who had lived through the same fears. Meanwhile, his daughter Arya watched her father transform. The man who once came home exhausted and worried about unpaid bills now returned with a smile. But the biggest change was not his new position or his income. It was the confidence he had regained. One evening, Arya found her father looking at an old photograph of her mother. She asked him if he missed the life they had before. Marcus smiled sadly and told her that he missed those days, but he was grateful for every challenge because they taught him something important. He told her that sometimes life closes one door only to prepare you for a better one. Months passed, and Marcus's foundation became one of the most successful projects within Clara's company. Hundreds of families received support because of his ideas. But Marcus never allowed success to change him. He still arrived early, treated everyone with respect, and remembered the people who were struggling. One day, Clara invited Marcus to her office. She showed him a letter she had written after the night he helped her. In that letter, she explained that before meeting him, she had become surrounded by people who wanted something from her. Employees wanted promotions, business partners wanted deals, and strangers wanted favors. But Marcus was the first person in years who helped her without asking who she was. Clara admitted that his kindness reminded her that success means nothing if a person loses compassion along the way. Marcus became emotional because he realized something powerful. He thought he had saved Clara that rainy night, but in reality, that simple act of kindness had saved both of them. Clara found hope in humanity again, and Marcus found a second chance at life. But just when everything seemed perfect, Marcus received unexpected news. A problem had appeared at the foundation. Someone inside the company was questioning his leadership and trying to remove him from the project. They believed a man with his background did not belong in a position of power. Marcus stood at a crossroads. He could walk away and return to the quiet life he once knew, or he could fight for the families who depended on the program. For the first time in his life, Marcus decided not to stay silent. He was ready to prove that kindness was not weakness, and that a person's value was never determined by money, education, or social status. The meeting room was filled with tension as Marcus Vail stood in front of some of the company's most powerful executives. A few weeks earlier, he had been a struggling single father trying to pay bills and keep his daughter smiling. Now he was standing in a room where decisions worth millions of dollars were made. But Marcus was not afraid. He had faced much harder battles than angry executives. He had faced loneliness, loss, and the fear of not being able to provide for the person he loved most. The executives presented their concerns. They said Marcus was inexperienced, that his methods were too emotional, and that a major company needed people who understood numbers more than feelings. They believed kindness had no place in business. Marcus listened quietly until everyone finished speaking. Then he opened a folder containing hundreds of letters from families who had received help through the foundation. Each letter told a different story. A mother who was able to return to work because she received childcare support. A father who found a new career after losing his job. Children who finally had stability because their parents were given a second chance. Marcus explained that behind every number was a human being. Behind every report was a family hoping someone would believe in them. He told the executives that the foundation was successful not because of money, but because people finally felt seen. The room became silent. Clara Whitmore watched Marcus proudly. She knew that the same quality that made him open his home to a stranger was the same quality that made him the right person for the job. After the meeting, Clara revealed that she had already reviewed the foundation's results. The numbers were better than any previous project the company had launched. The people who had questioned Marcus were forced to admit that his approach had created something they never expected. Marcus did not celebrate by proving others wrong. Instead, he returned to the families he was helping. He believed success was not about making people regret doubting you. Success was about continuing to do good even when nobody believed in you. 1 year after that stormy night, Marcus and Arya returned to the small house where everything began. The old couch where Clara had slept was still there. Marcus never replaced it because it reminded him of the night when one simple decision changed two lives forever. Arya sat beside her father and asked if he ever imagined that helping a stranger would lead to such a different future. Marcus smiled and told her that he never helped Clara because he expected a reward. He helped her because someone needed help. He explained that true kindness is powerful because it is given freely. Sometimes it comes back in unexpected ways, but even if it does not, the act itself still matters. Years later, the foundation became known across the country as one of the most successful programs helping single parents. Marcus continued leading it with the same humility he had on the first day. He never forgot where he came from, and he always reminded his team that compassion should never disappear when someone becomes successful. Clara and Marcus remained close friends. She often told people that the greatest investment she ever made was not in technology, buildings, or businesses. It was believing in a good person when nobody else saw his value. Marcus's greatest reward was watching Arya grow into a kind and compassionate young woman. She followed her father's example and spent her life helping others. She often said that her father taught her the most important lesson: a person's worth is not measured by what they own, but by what they are willing to give. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes kindness matters, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind us there is still goodness in the world. Special request. Comment: one kind act can change a life, if you believe compassion always matters. On a quiet evening many years later, Marcus looked out at the same street where he once struggled to survive. He remembered the lonely nights, the unpaid bills, and the moment he almost ignored the knock at his door. But he was grateful he opened it. Because sometimes, the smallest choice made by a person with the least to give can create the biggest change. Marcus gave a stranger one night on his couch. And that stranger gave him a new beginning. But the greatest gift was something money could never buy. The proof that kindness, even when given in the darkest moments, can become the light that leads someone home.